Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Brightworks and another match of Beyond All Reason, where today we are taking a look at another small team or medium-sized team game. Some of the pros we're playing. Not sure exactly how to qualify it. It's a 5 versus 5 with some top-tier contenders going to be going neck and neck. And honestly, I feel like it's found a new place in my heart. I say this about every team game mode that I take a look at, but I sincerely think this does open up a bunch of creative options. And the pros, well, they certainly know how to take advantage of those, so I'm very, very excited to see what goes down on everybody's favorite. It's a classic map. It's, of course, Rosetta. Beautiful little stellar background we've got right here as we zoom into our red commander, going to be playing as a Armada commander right here, a commander that goes by the name of Irish Stud 14 at 47.71 open skill. Irish Stud definitely heading the charts here as the red team commander, going to be leading by, gosh, almost 10 open skill over the next down. Oh no, pardon me, 5 open skill, 5-ish open skill on the next down. 4-ish? Never do math in a video, kids. That's what it's all about. Speaking of math in a video, I'm trying out a new YouTube thing. They've opened up a new system where basically there's a little bit of an announcement, okay? I'll treat this like a little bit of an announcement, give it the respect it deserves. Basically, YouTube introduced a new system that allows for products to be sponsored. Essentially, you can choose a different product that will be sponsored, and there's a whole bunch of them that you can choose from, a whole bunch of random stuff. And I've decided to go ahead and sponsor the keyboard and mouse set that I actually have. It's the Red Dragon. It's R-E-D... It's R-E Dragon. So R-E Dragon, yeah, Red Dragon. Something like that, anyway. Yeah, I really like it a whole lot, and I do earn a commission off of it, so the plan that I have is basically to take all the commission money, because I can track it separately, take all the commission money from anybody who might be interested and who might click on that and buy one of those keyboards. It's a keyboard and mice set. If you buy any of those, any of that commission money, I'm going to go ahead and put in a pool, and all that pooled money is going to be used basically to donate back to the community in the form of tournament winnings, either as, tournament grand prize money, or a brand new system that I'm working on right now that is the bounty board. And the way that that's going to work is basically there will be bounties that can be posted by various mod developers or myself, of course, and attached to those will be a certain amount of monetary value. And if you complete the bounty for the mod option, the tweak units, whatever it happens to be, then you get to claim the bounty and the money goes to you. Very excited to announce that. There will be more to come about that shortly here, but I figured I'd introduce it because, as some of you have already pointed out, there's some really interesting options, and of course you also get a little bit of a discount when you click on that link. So if there's any product you'd like to see down there, feel free to leave a comment down below, and I'm more than happy to oblige. This is a pretty tight-knit community, so I'm always happy to help the folks here out. If you want a little discount on something you've been looking to buy, let me know, and I'll slap it on the bottom there, and I can earn a little bit of money. It goes back to the Beyond Reason community, and you get a fancy little discount. Anyways, into this match right here. We need to meet our blue commander quickly here. It's Fiddler 112-112, and let's get into this match, because we've already got ticks across the way and starting to harass some of these bases. The red commander sending ticks forward to harass Nizad, the 41 open skill Canadian hero, the tournament winner, who is trying to defend with ticks of his own. Nicely done. Actually, I think these ticks will be cleaned up quite nicely. Yeah, very nice. Okay. Early tick harassment negated, rather. Tick harassment not neglected. All these commanders going for tick harassment all over the place. Looks like our Cyan hero, Code Phoenix 0, will also be going to try and send some ticks forward. Not going to manage to achieve all too much, though. And frankly speaking, I feel like this is the way this map is meant to be played. I feel like this map is ideal as a 7 versus 7, where you basically leave this position open. So you have one person in the back right here, and then they get these metal extractors, because otherwise when you play this map, this person has no metal. They're very, very poor when they play this game. It's designed that way, essentially to make it so that one side is staggered a little bit, so that it's the expected side to fall, right? You get that sort of yin-yang scenario where one side falls and the other side wins. I think this is a really fun way of playing it, though. We're doing a 5v5, so all these commanders, 2 of these commanders or 3 of these commanders are going to have a little bit extra metal. Sometimes the pros will hand it all over. They'll hand 2 extra bases to one commander as opposed to just, 1 base apiece. Makes a lot of sense. Geothermal already up and running right here for Chronopolize. The red commander, Irish Stud, moving forward to grab all these mexes as well. We do have a constructor going ahead and building the mexes and going to grab that geothermal as well. And man, it just goes to show how much quicker the pros are to get up and running here. We are 4 minutes into the game, and you can already see we've got standing armies across the field here for every single one of these commanders in under 6 minutes. Whereas, like, there's no backlighting, there's nothing like that. It's just as pure, fast-paced gaming as possible. Got constructors moving around all over the place. This is so beautiful to see. Of course, the crown jewel of Rosetta is this 10 metal per second metal extractor. Looks like it will go back to the hot pink commander here, and the Seafoam Green commander, Glizzy and Cat the Vat. 27 open skill and 26, so pretty evenly matched those two. And now we have all this metal income. What are we going to do with it? Yeah, you can see Cat the Bat actually overflowing tons of metal to the team. Doesn't really know what to spend all the metal on. I like the idea of advanced solars. I like the idea of a T2 laboratory, but all this has its order, right? We're getting the battery up and running so we can actually store the energy.
Commander
using this to...
self-destructed.
Little commander self-destruct right there from the orange commander. Actually destructs within range of the, of the construction turret. That's, yeah, that's pretty interesting. Okay, nice play right there from the orange comm. Chronopolize. Now the blue team pointed out, interesting, because it does mean that they see the commie going on, or the sack rather. Losing the commander right here, or losing most of the commander, all but 59.8 of the commander right here, does mean that the red team is going to have the T2 advantage relatively quickly here. So, blue team with no T2 plans at the moment right here. You can see none of these commanders actually with any T2 laboratories. If any of them were to go for T2, I think it would make the most sense for Glizzy here of the DME clan to go ahead and throw down that T2 lab eventually. We have loads of solar panels up and running right now. I think it's time to throw down 2 or 3 advanced solar panels. Once you have a couple hundred energy production, like 200-300 energy production, you can build those advanced solar panels, and they do help you scale really, really quickly, especially if you need to make that jump from T1 to T2. It can ease that transition on maps that don't have wind turbines, because you don't have to build so many of them. You only have to build 3 or 4, and if your build power is already localized to build a bunch of solar panels, then it's already localized to build a bunch of advanced solar panels. Boom, cries out the hot pink commander, maybe concerned about the safety and well-being here of the orange commander, who rightfully the blue team has gone ahead and built a bunch of bombers for, realizing there might be an opportunity to go for a little bit of a cheeky play here. Glizzy retreating to the safety of the LLTs at this point, realizes that he's completely surrounded by pawns and ticks and all sorts of other manner of critter on all sides right here, but luckily the LLTs just barely are enough to get him out of that bind. That was a close call right there for the red commander, or for the Seafoam Green commander rather. I think if those units had focused the commander a little bit more specifically, they might have just barely been able to do some good work right there. Not the case though. Cat taking a bunch of damage too. Oh no. Okay, well, hot pink commander loses about 50% of their HP. Not all of it to the LLT, but a lot of it. And here we go. This is what it's all about. This is what the T2 rush was all for, is to get this single metal extractor up and running. Will we keep it up and running? Stay tuned for more. Seafoam Green grunts moving across the field here. They're not even really aiming for this metal extractor, but they will end up finding it. Yeah, constructor forced off here, trying to get a little derped around. Yeah, having actually a hard time building that metal extractor. It is located. At the very least, this is scouted, and that's super useful. Realizing, hey, wait a second, they're actually rushing for that T2 mechs makes a lot of sense. Bombers on their way across the field here for the blue commander. In great glorious detail, these bombers are nothing short of a game-winning condition here. If these can manage to strike deep into the heart of the red team, they can absolutely shut this entire thing down. Bombers are going to, of course, target down that T2 metal extractor. Bombs away, and the mechs does fall. Rebuilding that mech should be the top priority, but the bombers are reaching out to try and strike the hot pink base. Flak truck is available. It's going to be shooting into the cluster of bombers. Ooh, there's 2 of them. Oh, they managed to shoot down a lot of the bombers. Most of the bombers going down here. Ooh, all of them? A single bomber makes it out alive. All right. T2 Laboratory is denied. That's a nice use of those bombers. Now another one of them will find the E-converters over here. That's nice. It's a decent target. Pops one of the construction units as well as Grunt sneak into the back line, popping a bunch of metal extractors. Nice aggression from the blue team. Okay. Essentially 2 different types of gambit here. We have the play from the blue team being hyper-aggression, and then we have the play from the red team being essentially tech. We're going for as quick of tech as possible, trying to pump out as many of these T2 units as possible, trying to upgrade the mechs as quick as possible, and it is worthwhile, but this mechs being denied is a huge issue. Pitbull coming up right here, but we just don't really have the economy for it. I mean, this is the Hot Pink Commander with basically a T1 economy, trying to deal with medium tanks now in the backline. All right. Pawn here for the defense as well as the construction turrets. Eventually going to clean all this up, but a lot of metal is lost right there. Wouldn't mind seeing this turret started up again, or this tower, this metal extractor started up again. Oh, the aggression is overwhelming. Beautiful read right here from the blue team. Yeah, realizing that so many thousands of metal is going to be dumped into tech right here for the red team. Realizing that and then sending the units forward super aggressively for the push means all of a sudden this metal extractor has been denied. That's an extra 10 metal per second. It's been going back to the blue team consistently. They've had all this time to go ahead and tech up on their own, and now it looks like the green commander Nizah has T2, and it looks like we might even have T2 being spread around all over the place here. That's a commander down. There is a way back into this game for the red team, and of course that is reclaim. Thousands of metal worth of units sent across the map, but it is, at this point, all defended. If we can rebuild all these metal extractors, if we can reclaim all these, upgrade them, and then get away with the T2 transition, we're going to be in a pretty good spot. Bombers coming across, targeting down those geothermals. Those are obvious strategic strike points here. If you can pop those, it's a huge hit to the economy. Bombs away again on the metal extractors over here is quite nice. Just popping any of these that we can. Anti-air turrets firing away as well to chip away at those bombers, but there is... Oh, they missed. Oh, no, the bombers missed on their pass right there. So many anti-air turret towers. Oh, my goodness. It's just T1 anti-air, but there's so many of them, and it does not matter. All the bombers are shot down. Okay, well, a stellar defense. A bit of a weird command right there. For whatever reason, they missed the geothermal, so at least one of those will stay up and running. It is instrumental to making sure this laboratory can continue producing. It's a bummer to lose this one, though. T2 mech's almost up and running. In 15 seconds or so, the hot pink economy is about to skyrocket. I mean, really skyrocket. That's 40 metal per second. It's 4 times the economy that we've already got up and running right now. The blue team, yeah, looking at this and thinking, yeah, it's time to get our own metal extractor upgraded here. As soon as this single mech gets up and online, it starts to rocket the economy here for the red team. Consider, for instance, that every mech I have selected right now, produces about 40 metal. So for, you know, the cost of 3 metal extractors, 1,800-ish metal. Instead, you only pay 600 metal. The math adds up, and it adds up really, really quickly. I wouldn't even mind seeing some static defenses. You can afford to waste the metal and put down some static defenses just to make sure that this area isn't besieged any further. T2 vehicle is going to be wonderful for shutting a bunch of this down. Those lightning tanks do so much damage. They're so speedy. D-guns away from the commander here as well, just making sure that none of these units have any chance of breaking into the backline. And all of a sudden, the position is well secured. What was phenomenal aggression never actually ended up being capitalized on. I think the blue team spread the aggression a little bit too thin. They kind of put pressure on all sides here rather than pushing in one specific part of the map. And the red team just barely managed to eke out enough of a defense here that they're now recovering. Okay. Now we have T2 artillery pieces headed out here, as well as some spy tanks. Ooh. Well, that's a unique play. We don't see spy tanks all too often. A bit of a gamble because these aren't super cheap. 230 metal, they're not the most expensive thing in the world, but we have produced 5 of them for 1,000 metal. These are radar and vision cloaked, so you cannot detect them no matter what. The only way to actually find them is to ram a unit face first into it. That disrupts the cloaking field just enough that it, well, ruins the entire mirage. Okay. Spy tanks. Not only are these spy tanks devastating if they can find their way into a sensitive part of a backline, E-converters and the like, they're also wonderful scouting right here. So for the Mauser, it's key that they have proper positional data on all the units that the enemy has. Glizzy, perfectly revealed right here. In fact, we'll select the orange commander and you can see actually revealing a whole bunch of this front line right here. All the turrets, all the LLTs, even the jammer, all that stuff that's, well, cloaked right now from the radar because of these jammers. Now revealed here to the Mauser, who are going to be more than happy to fire away into the distance and start whittling down a bunch of these different static defenses here. I can just hear the Mission Impossible music. Dun, 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 dun. As the spy tanks make their way forward, they really ideally want to try and find something super, super valuable. Something that is explosive and super valuable. The obvious answer is going to be E-converters. Those are the primary target. The AGO here, a decent target as well, but of course those are highly explosive and you're bound to lose them. Oh, tank is revealed. Oh no! Oh no! Did he notice? Nazar realizes they just shot at something, but he doesn't know what it was. Uh-oh, that's so close. Nazar just a moment away from realizing exactly what actually happened right there. Meanwhile, frontline completely overwhelmed. We've still got T1 forces, even some resbots resurrecting a bunch of medium tanks. Alright. If there ever was a unit to resurrect, I suppose that's the right choice. I think reclaiming all this and just getting your money's worth is probably better off here, though. 1,000 metal worth of resbots. If you just reclaim all this, you get 3,000 metal back. Ooh. Or none back. Gunships in the air here for the blue commander. Alright, we've spec'd laterally across to air forces here and then up to T2 air, giving us access to those T2 Wasp gunships, those little, yeah, I don't even know what they're almost like Black Hawk helicopters, except they have retro thrusters rather than bladed wings. In other words, a very effective unit. Sure can hear lovely as well, but we do have anti-air trucks mixed into the, mixed. Kill flak, says the blue commander here, Code Phoenix. Gonna get a D-gun as the gunships come swirling in to try and save the day here. Not the end of the day. Love that save right there from the blue commander. Manages a lovely job of derailing that push with the harassment from the gunships. Medium tanks did blow the Geo over here. Sure tell sign of a geothermal explosion. That is so cheeky. Yeah, I feel like it's super, super rare that we get an opportunity to see those spy tanks really in action. Some of them units being re-queued backwards here. A lot of radar trucks being mixed into this composition. You need them. You do need them. Front line is falling apart here as well. Starlights, Bulls, and Ticks, because you asked for a better combination here. Well, if you don't have anti-air, I guess the gunships are going to be all you need to solve this issue. We do have a single flak truck. It's really not enough, though. The gunships are pretty sturdy. They can stand up to the flak for a little while. Long enough to kill one. Two is dubious, though. Will this push be just enough to crack the defenses? I think so. Cyan base in trouble. Starlight's firing away, and down goes the base. It's actually the lightning tanks. Lightning tanks and ticks here that actually managed to kill the base. Geothermal right behind it. Advanced geothermal. Oh, it's an explosive setup. Those Starlights want the kill. They're greedy. Don't get too close. Nice. A geothermal pops. And just like that, this area is pretty much clear for the push. We do have a dragon on its way across here. 74% and dropping. We have a lot of flak trucks available, so that is nice. We are actually cutting that thing down pretty quickly here. Dragons are tanky. Flank is pretty good, though. Flak, rather, is pretty good. Oh, pardon me. Accidentally cutting away from the shot right there. Classic Brightworks maneuver. The siege is still ongoing here. T2 metal extractor was not targeted down. A little bit of a misplay. The yellow tanks probably would have liked to move up north here and catch this. Still, though, taking out the production center here would be wonderful as well. The T2 laboratory grinding out those salamanders and medium tanks. Heavy tanks, rather. If you can manage to pop this facility, it pretty much shuts down all of the opposition on this northern side. The Quaker actually moving in at this point to try and shut this down. And I think they've just about got it. T2 laboratory falls. Metal extractors will pop here shortly. And after that, the economy has crumbled. Yeah, the Cyan commander on the northern side in a desperate way. Anti-air is just thick enough that those gunships really can't find any value. I mean, even the Dragon was struggling to stay up and running, and if a Dragon can't survive the anti-air, then there's really not a lot that can.
Commander has died.
Starlight's looking downright oppressive, as they always do. If you get a bundle of these up and running and you support them properly and you keep them in their place and you give them enough radar and you cover them with anti-air, and you make sure to move them properly, and you do all that really nicely, they're in absolute win condition. One of the win conditions of all time, for sure. Easily popping any of these static defenses over here. The AGO now in tremendous trouble. Apparently they're struggling to see it from down there. Bacon. Bacon, who just fires the D-gun. Says, I'm done playing around right here. We're not going to mess around any longer. And just like that, I believe the red team has managed to close out this game. What a stellar battle right there. At the end of the day, it's going to be the rapid tech that does win out. Those T2 units are just so much more efficient than the T1. It really is hard to argue. They're so much better, so much more versatile, and especially these Starlights, man, they have incredible effect. Wouldn't be surprised if these see a change eventually. Little bit of a fire rate nerf or something along those lines, because, man, they are looking dominative. All the best of the best are using them, and it makes a lot of sense why. Very easy to build up 5 or 6 of these, and then you just have to build support units, and if you keep it all microed properly, very, very little that the enemy can do. An easy way of turning a already won situation into an even better situation. Well, here you go. I mean, throwing him into the enemy front line is one thing. Then again, that front line has already crumbled, essentially. Waste all you want. The northern side has already fallen as more Starlights move in up there. Bunch of Tiger tanks moving in southbound here. Southbound and down. Gunships. They're alright, but against the heavy tanks, not a lot they can do. The blue team knows it. they go ahead and throw in the towel. That was a pretty quick game. How about we go ahead and take a look at another one? I'm pretty excited. Our second match of the evening happens to be played on Flats and Forest, a map that I actually personally really love. The big wide open maps, I feel like, offer you a lot of opportunity, a lot of strategic opportunity, sort of poking and prodding at the enemy, getting them out of position, having your teammates attack when they're out of position, all that kind of stuff. I find it really interesting, a lot of fun. The pros, however, are going to be playing another 5 versus 5. I was in between which of these two matches to cast, and I realized I may as well just cast both of them. In a 5 versus 5, it means one commander, or at least a couple of the commanders, are going to have a huge amount of resources on this map, though, as well as a giant area to defend. And so on a map this big, harassment really does become the name of the game. Slipping, ticks or pawns or grunts or any of those tinier units, rovers or rascals, I'm sure will be popular here as well. Any of those you can get into the enemy backline, and popping those metal extractors can eventually snowball into a huge advantage. Looks like it'll be bots here for our blue team leader. In this game, going to be Fiddler 112 once again. Oh, and this one is not actually a 5v5, pardon me. This is actually a 4 versus 4. So one commander less than the Rosetta match. A much bigger map and a slightly smaller team right here. But Fiddler 112 still going to be the blue team leader, and spawning on the other side going to be Nizah, now the red team leader, going to be showing us what that Viking helmet is capable of, building up that vehicle bay. This is what I was expecting. The vehicles make a lot of sense. Of course, the rascals and rovers are super duper quick, and getting them into the enemy backline is really, really easy. And they're very cost-effective. Nowadays, they've actually been buffed ever so slightly, but it does make them a little bit more menacing. For 31 metal, you get what you pay for. I'm actually going to speed up this early game here, because until we have some units across this map, this is actually going to be fairly standard. Most of these commanders are going to be going for a couple of constructors, because you can afford to be so greedy on this map, because it takes so long to cross it. Even the fastest units here, we have some ticks moving across here. Mind you, this is at 4x speed at this point. We have ticks moving across the map right here. We're 2 minutes into the game, almost 3 minutes into the game. We would be able to get some units across the map. It's so ginormous that the rush distance is minuscule. It means that the action doesn't really even start until these commanders even discover that there's other units out there. And it looks like finally they have. Bacon Dude, 1786-5, the hot pink commander, going to be on the northern side, defending against the swarm of ticks sent on over, red rover by the blue commander. And it looks like we are, for the most part, deflecting this attack southward here. These ticks trying to stay organized and as neat a little ball as possible, but at this point the defender's advantage has caught up to the blue commander, and now there's as many ticks, if not more, in the pink force here rather than the blue. That's the power of the defender's advantage, is just that, simply speaking, the enemy units are going to come out a lot closer than yours, so even if you're reinforcing, it's going to take you a whole lot longer. The further you push, it takes you even longer to reinforce. Pretty much defines logistical warfare for the last, I don't know, several hundred years of human existence. Turns out robots suffer from the same exact issues. Getting units, getting supplies to the front line. You don't have to worry about supplies so much in this game, but getting units to the front line, still a major problem. Yeah, how do you transport them all the way over there? Well, turns out just building the fastest ones possible and telling them to book it is a pretty good solution here. Grunt's going to be the fastest thing out of the laboratory here for the orange commander, Yadan, the 21 open skill hero here, playing on the southern side of the red team. Ticks, of course, have the reputation of being just the quickest. We have some defensive units coming out now. A bunch of pawns have been sent across here for both the blue commander and the pink. Well, sent across by the blue and sent to defend from the pink, rather. Ticks here will be used to mop up the remainder of this, and it looks like one of them got away, but we are aware of it. At the very least, that tick will be cleaned up eventually. Oh, just barely saves the max. Alright, nice. Saves valuable seconds here that constructors would have to spend rebuilding all this. We will have a constructor in position to rebuild these mexes as well. So all said and done, lovely aggression from the blue team. Going to be cleaned up relatively easily here. We do have a hero grunt in the backline, by the way, clearing out metal extractors. Always loving one of these sneaks into the backline and just wrecks unbelievable chaos. We do have it now heading towards the constructor of the purple commander, expanding onto these rearward mexes. If we can kill this constructor, that's a huge pick. A lone grunt does not kill a constructor quickly here. 5 or 6% or so per blast from that LLT. Sort of, well, LLT-ish arm cannon. Eventually, though, it will be enough. Always important to remember these lasers have damage fall off, so you gotta be kind of careful about that. The closer you are, the more damage you'll do, but most things explode as well, so the closer you are, the more damage you take. It's a brutal trade-off. Grunt does snipe the constructor, though, and that's lovely. Obviously, sniping that constructor denies a tremendous amount of expansion potential for the purple commander. You can see the blue commander here. If we zoom all the way out and take a look, yeah, the blue commander has expanded tremendously here, effectively taking up 2 or maybe even 3 commanders worth of lane, and not stopping anytime soon. Grand ambitions to expand with wind turbines and all that good stuff. Looking very nice here for Decisive. The only active engagement here on the map here, well, actually, there's 2 of them. There is one here for the purple commander. Lost a bunch of Janices to a bunch of grunts that overwhelmed them. Wonderful execution right there from the orange commander. And the other warfield going on right here. The only other active battle is the blue and hot pink commanders, which are basically mirroring each other's movements. They're kind of doing a dangerous dance. And this is exactly what I love about this map, is that you have these moments where you try and pull the enemy out of position and then maybe sneak a couple of units through the northern side, or try and, yeah, maybe trick the yellow commander into moving units northward, and then the green commander would move in to try and push through this angle. The pawns have broken through the yellow line, but we do have the pink units being sent to reinforce here. So at the very least, I do believe these blue pawns will be cleaned up quite nicely. Let's have a watch. Sometimes these battles can be quite difficult to predict. In this case, though, it was simply a numbers game. And at the end of the day, I think this entire push will be cleaned up. Every single blue bot does fall. And if we have a couple res bots, we can, of course, go ahead and resurrect a whole bunch of this. Resurrect or reclaim. Reclaim works just as well. But if you resurrect all that, then your pawn army in just a couple of minutes is going to look quite nice. Yeah. Takes a minute for these res bots to do their work, but it only takes a little bit of energy, really, to build one of these. It takes half the energy cost of the unit, so I guess it would cost 450 energy to build or to resurrect one of these pawns, and it costs nothing to repair. Big old vehicle army clashing against the bot army here for Decisive. Nizah versus Decisive on the southern side. All of these commanders very hesitant to engage. Obviously, losing your entire army is a devastating moment right there. If the enemy is any amount prepared with res bots or just any kind of reclaim power on the front line, and you give up your entire army, several thousand metal worth of units, you can find yourself in a very precarious situation very quickly. A rushed T2 lab, though. Not bad for the orange commander. You know what? It's not even really rushed. At 43 metal per second, this is basically on time. I guess I'm just not used to seeing this much eco in one commander's hands on this map, but it does make sense, I suppose. T2 Laboratory already up and running here for the red commander, queuing up those T2 metal extractors all over the place. As you can see, their shadow popping up all over on all these mexes. Nizah basically just greeting as hard as possible. Decisive, not quite so, building a whole bunch of medium tanks. And so it does mean that the Cyan commander's on a little bit of a timer. We need to see these armies clash. We need to trade out against all the static defense and, of course, all the enemy units, and then reclaim all that metal, and at the very least, reclaim as much of our own T1 as possible. If Decisive can pull it off, it'll put him miles ahead of the red commander, who's paid for the T2 transition out of pocket. If these T2 units, however, reinforce the front line, the Cyan commander is toast. Big battle on this northern side here. Looks like the medium tanks did eventually win over the infantry, as they always do. Medium tanks are so sturdy, and unless you have legions upon legions of pawns to devastate a medium tank army, there really is no way you're ever going to take anywhere near an efficient trade against the vehicles. They're just better flat out, and that's kind of their deal. You can see the pawns really struggling, even just to kill this Janus here. A lot of these are resurrected, though, so this army doesn't cost nearly as much as it looks like it should. They can do take some damage on the commander. Fires off the D-gun. Will kill the LLT at the very least. Has the ability to start reclaiming here. Going to be in imminent danger, though. We have Janus on the field, and those can do, well, horrible, horrible things to commanders. Little medium tank ball. Thinking about engaging northward here. If these tanks had rolled out 2 minutes ago, they might be able to have found insane value. Instead, however, we do have the lightning tanks here to try and clean up a whole bunch of this, and they'll kill, well, at the very least 2 or 3 of these tanks before they even bring down one of them. The tanks, that is, bring down one of the Jaguars. Well, there we go. Its replacement is already on the way. Oh, man. The T2 difference is ginormous. Medium tanks in the early game are unstoppable killing machines. Once you get those T2 units out on the field, though, Especially on a map this big where the rush distance is so long, those tanks have to roll for so long in order to get to the enemy command that now we've effectively just donated a couple thousand metal. Maybe about 1,000 metal.
Has died.
Oh, that's the hot pink commander going down. Janice indeed, scary to face. Meatballs available as well. Those are very dangerous for commanders to fight. They just barely outrange commanders. They have, it's numerically extremely close between the meatballs and the commanders. It's enough that if you are perfect with the kiting, you can 100% perfectly kite a commander. However, almost entirely impossible. The actual control over the units in the game makes it almost impossible to do. I suppose that makes it even more impressive when it does work out. Medium tanks counterattacking medium tanks here from the yellow commander rolling out right here. I think we're intending to basically just replace these. Giant eco center in the backline here, though. Man, a couple of bombers on this map could have huge effect. Actually, no T2. I guess we're just Hail Marrying the units. Yeah, alright. Medium tanks rolling into the backline here. We have a nice little blueprint set up for E-storages and E-converters. Kind of strange looking, but it does work. Medium tanks are starting to pick it all apart. Okay. Heavy tanks going to be engaging against the T1 spam here from the yellow comm. Bunch of T1 units of a bygone era. No longer going to have much purpose here. I would have liked to see these reclaimed rather than just thrown away on the blue side. Not the end of the world, though. I mean, those are relatively minimal losses here. T2 mechs is already up and running for the red commander, by the way. Sending out those T2 units. We already saw those lightning tanks clashing here against the early stouts, the medium tanks that were sent out. Dinosuchus does have T2 up and running at this point, trading out the blitzes versus some static defense. Pretty much as even of a trade as they're ever going to find at this point in the game. Much, much better than having them go and fight blindly against a bunch of T2 units, for sure. Friendly fire brutally kills a bunch of these. Unfortunately, yeah, Mauser, they're relatively accurate. However, they don't have, they're not much for friendly fire. They don't really care, yeah. Retaliatory Mauser coming up right here, but already the arms race has been won by the red commander. Usually the first person to get those Mauser out will break the defensive line of the other commander, and it makes it even that much harder here for the defending commander to really do anything about it. The only advantage the Cyan commander has at this point is the defender's advantage, which is rapidly increasing as these Mauser move towards the base right here. Medium tanks overwhelm the T2 facility for Andre, the yellow commander here for the red team. Likewise on the northern side, medium tanks breaking through the front line. They will find their purchase in a bloody battle right here. My goodness. Corpses littering the field as the meatballs move forward. See, Fiddler, I'm 18 OS. When you lose, just blame your OS. It all makes sense now. Yeah, the T1 spam is unfortunate. Bacon Dude is caught in a trap that I'm sure many of us have experienced before. Effectively, you can only produce T1 units to keep yourself afloat. You can't afford the T2 transition. You also can't afford the... You can't afford to... you're basically not making an efficient enough composition to defend, so you're sort of stuck in a losing game where all you can really do is buy time. Big old fight going on right here. Mauser continuing to creep forward here. Lightning tanks coming out, trying to deal with it. Lightning tanks are the right move, but of course remember, the red commanders had those T2 mexes up for quite a long time. At this point, has more than enough metal economy to just outproduce the Cyan commander. Oop, still getting used to this camera. I love this camera so much. It really is beautiful, but still getting used to it. Oh man, Jaguars are so good. Every time I see Jaguars engaging against pretty much any unit, it feels like a no-brainer unit to build. They're fast, they do huge damage, they're cheap. Yeah. As good a defense as you probably could hope for at this point. If we could get some Resbots to resurrect a whole bunch of these Jaguar just so that we're reinforcing from multiple different sides. We do have the Resbots, by the way. They're just reclaiming rather than rebuilding. Oh, no. Oh, Jaguar does get a shot off on him. Another shot, too. Yikes. Yeah, reclaiming with the Resbots. These Resbots needed to head down south and start resurrecting from the southern side. If we just had 5-6 Resbots resurrecting these Jaguars, it would have overwhelmed the production here of the Red Commander because, well, you kill a Jaguar and then you resurrect it and you add it to your army and then the enemy sends in 2 more, but now you have 2 Jaguar. Basically, it adds up is what I'm trying to say. Using the enemy's snowball against them. Tricky to maintain, but if you can pull it off, it can be a comeback mechanic in the game. The Swarm. Meatball is pretty much the epitome of anti-swarm. We are moving into medium tanks. Okay. Sturdying up the Swarm, I suppose, here. We do have Resbots moving in to resurrect a whole bunch of this as well. Medium tanks just going to be used to jump on the Centurion. Centurion not bad against medium tanks, by the way. It's actually one of their weird strong suits. They're relatively good against them. Especially in a spread-out formation if they have a decent flank on them. Their little laser beam doesn't do a ton of damage, but when you have 4 or 5 of them built in together, whoa, loads of friendly fire right there from the Janus. Unfortunate. At least the meatballs went down swinging. Tremor now available. You are AFK once again. Little bit of a heated moment right there for the blue commander. Yeah, kind of calling out the teammate. Sometimes it's necessary though. We do need to see these units start to get some value here. It's all T1 for the yellow commander, and at this point, it's far too late. We really should have T2 on the field. We do have a T2 lab all the way back here. It's weird. It's weird that we would have the T1 lab still. I'm not entirely sure what it's for. We're building more production up here, so maybe we're just intending to spam out maybe some scout units. The rovers are quite fast. Rascals, rather. The Cortex rover. Orange Fiends moving in. The Tsar here going to be wonderful for blasting away big swaths of those. Tremor does go down though. Oh no, the Tsar friendly fires too, so it's not even resurrectable. Yikes. That's a wonderful snipe right there for the Orange Commander. Completely upsets the siege. Now we have the Banishers moving forward, but oh, look at that, Fiddler apologizing. When's the last time you saw a gamer apologizing for being toxic? That's a round of applause moment right there. Hashtag character growth. That's what I'm talking about. Mine layer's been used here actually to set up a big medium landmine field. Kind of a cheeky strategy. I don't mind it at all. Mines are so efficient that it really doesn't matter. They just always, if a mine is ever used, it's effective. Whoa. Banisher missiles reeling wildly off course here. Banishers and Tsar have a weird kind of synergy. Effectively, the Tsar able to, or the Banishers rather, able to impulse a bunch of these units. Well, the Tsar can do it too, but the Banishers really heavily impulse these units, and it allows the Tsar to get an accurate shot off on them, which is kind of cool. Medium. Oh, this is going to be beautiful. Oh, it's beautiful. Retreating directly into the landmines. Oh, no. One of them does go down as it gets detonated. Landmine that is gets detonated right on top of it. Okay. It is a treat, a serious joy every time you get to watch landmines detonate on units. Just they do so much damage and they're so cheap, so inexpensive to build. Do we have a game ender queued up here? I'm looking for T3 labs. I'm looking for aha. Nuclear missile silo has been constructed by the orange, or by the red commander rather. Looks like we already have the target location here as well. It's going to be the main blue base. We're a little off target here. I think, you know, obviously centered nearer to the fusion reactors would make a lot of sense. We don't have that scouted though, so instead we're just going to center it on the metal extractors. Not the end of the world at all. Medium tank ball pushing through right here. There are some more landmines out and available, so those will connect here and there. Again, just, I mean, anytime a landmine connects, it's going to find value, so it just doesn't matter. They're so efficient. They're one of the few units in the game that you can always build and pretty much always find some value from. Sharpshooters included here as well are lovely, of course. Going to blast away those medium tanks very easily, as well as even the heavy tanks, the T2 heavy tanks. Ladies and gentlemen. Divine Retribution. Right? Yeah. Boom goes the base of the blue commander, and it does not matter that the nuke was slightly off-center. Just like that, the entire facility goes up in smoke. Thermonuclear ionized smoke. As the entire base goes up. Beautiful. From downtown, screams Nizah. Oh man, that is that's a bummer moment. Certainly one that I'm well aware of. Yeah, there we go. Fiddler throws in the towel right here. Already having a rough time. And all of a sudden, yeah, hands over all the units here to Deinosuchus on the southern side, who teases him lightly about still being alive because of the beautiful anti-nuke that's been built. Meanwhile, Orange Forces, Marauder forward. Maraud forward? I feel like I shouldn't say Marauder. That's a unit in the game. It's a very strong unit in the game. I don't want to invoke its wrath. But the Fiend's here. A strong depiction of wrath if ever there was one. Burning away here at the base of the purple commander. Wind turbines going up in smoke, E-converters, beamer turrets, all the rest of it. I mean, these are perfect design units for blasting away at all this slightly thinner in the armor plating backline. What a surround. We've got a near 180 degree surround right here from the red commander. Oh, the bulls get on top of the jaguars too. The AoE impact is huge. Well, that's a lovely effect right there. Starlight's going to be completely surrounded. What a push. And just like that, Deinosuchus' center, or southern rather, command center is completely destroyed. Nuclear bomber just for kicks and giggles here. Yeah, we're sending nuclear bombers on strategic strike runs. We sent out the scouting planes here to look for anything valuable.
Destroyed.
Glizzy, the green commander right now, is the main target. Ooh, actually, we're actually pretty close in commander count at the moment. Bombs away number 1. We're going back around from round number 2. Glizzy activates the cloak. Oh, are we cloaked in time? Not in time! Boom goes the commander, and that's commander hit number 2. Brings it to its knees. Deinosuchus inherited the commander up north here from the blue commander. And that is the last one. Second nuclear bomber has joined its brother. We're going to head for the main facility here. Oh, anti-air is queued up. Oh, just barely manages to roll out of the lab. There are SAM turrets firing away too. Okay, and the nuclear bombers are killed. Alright, some of the build power stays up and running, but the fusion reactors have popped. That's a wonderful hit to the economy. At this point, the red forces have hit the main command center here, though, of Deinosuchus' main facility, his number 1 facility. Meanwhile, the inherited units from the blue commander pushing forward quite seamlessly on this northern side. Was it an overreactive resign thing there? Yeah. I mean, the simple fact of the matter, ladies and gentlemen, is that all the units that were up here were already up here. And they've broken the base. I mean, they've won this northern side. Sharpshooters doing a great job. The Wilders cracking the LLT, or the wind turbines, rather. Southern side has crumbled, though. Makes me wonder if these forces had pulled the trigger a little bit earlier, if maybe they would have been able to swing this game out slightly differently. But the Sheldon Ball is looking unstoppable. And at this point, throw in a couple of sumos, and I'm going to be happy with this composition. I'd even call it a game winner. And indeed, it looks like it will be, honestly, more than anything, a morale victory here for the red team that actually manages to crush the spirit and then the bases of our blue heroes right here. Wonderful stuff right now from our red team. A little bit of a celebratory self-destruction and whatnot. Always good fun. Thanks a ton for watching, folks. I hope you enjoyed the double feature, and I will see you in the very next game of Beyond Our Reason. Feel free to check out those commission stuff down below as well. Remember, you're supporting the community when you check that stuff out. Very happy to hear feedback as well if anybody has any bright ideas for how to use that extra resource. And other than that, I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day, and I will see you in the very next game of Beyond Our Reason. Peace out, everybody.